Hungary's initiatives have recently placed the country in increasing isolation within the European Union. The EU condemned Orban's so-called peace tour, during which he visited Moscow and Beijing without coordinating his trip with the European Union. The EU also decided to move the informal meeting of EU foreign ministers from Budapest to Brussels, and in September, meeting of the finance ministers of the Eurozone countries is scheduled to take place in the Hungarian capital, but due to Orban's position, its holding is under threat of disruption.
Several ministers have already signaled that they will not attend the meeting, even if it goes ahead in Hungary, including German Finance Minister Christian Lindner and his counterparts from Estonia, Finland and Lithuania. During a public meeting of EU finance ministers in July, multiple ministers criticized Orban for meeting Putin and not prioritizing aid for Ukraine, from a publication by Politico.
At the same time, Hungary continues to parroticize on the unanimous policy of the European Union. Starting with the sixth EU sanctions package, the country vetoed the restrictions, demanded amendments to be made. Budapest also long prevented the allocation of 50 billion euros to Ukraine, the transfer of income from frozen Russian assets to Kiev, and the start of negotiations on joining the EU. Now Hungary is blocking the transfer of 6.4 billion euros to the account of the European Peace Fund. Brussels promises to find a way to bypass the veto. Analysts believe that in addition to political instruments, the EU can also use financial ones.
Hungary is trying to get its 800 billion, which the EU again blocked for their inadequate policy. They decided to introduce such penalties in the amount of 200 million euros. Well, roughly speaking, they want to subtract 200 from 800 to get 600 and then conduct any negotiations. Money for 2024, which was meant for Hungary within the budget for 2024 current year, but was blocked again due to Hungary's destructive position. Even if I'm not mistaken, there is some other small money which was again frozen back in 2023. That is, there is room for bargaining.
Failures in foreign policy can undermine Orban's position inside Hungary, experts believe. The union of right-wing conservative parties, Patriots for Europe, of which Orban is the informal head, received a third of the seats in the EU Parliament, but its members did not receive positions in the new European government. In addition, the European Parliament makes all the decisions Brussels needs without them. According to analysts, all these coupled with the rejection of the so-called peacekeeping tour may affect his popularity within the country.
Orban, as much as we would not like it, but he managed to make such an adventurous, impudent strategy and policy a rather interesting achievement for modest Hungary, and he will use this, of course, in the domestic political arena. And now we see Orban's influence has already deteriorated after the elections, if I am not mistaken, local, that were recently held in Hungary. Opposition forces consolidated there, and Hungarian citizens supported the opposition to Orban.
In addition, Hungary remains dependent on purchases of Russian gas. On August the 30th, the head of the country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Peter Szijjártó, arrived in St. Petersburg for talks with Gazprom CEO Alexei Miller about fuel supplies to Hungary. Szijjártó stated that without Russian gas, the country's energy security cannot be guaranteed. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Andriy Dmitrenko, UATV News.